Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
That's my opening statement.
What did they do to get Brock loose and run so many possessions through him? And then how would you describe his game as kind of a funky left-handed, versatile game too?
Maybe the most versatile player in our league. I say a lot of times, guys 6'8" and above love to say, I'm versatile, so they like to play on the perimeter. Well then, you're not versatile, because all you do is play on the perimeter. If you're versatile, you can do it all. He plays on the perimeter, he shoots it from the perimeter, he drives it from the perimeter, he can post you up, he can pass, he makes free throws at 6'9" or 6'10". That's a tough cover anywhere, and that's what he does. And when you're that versatile, it's pretty easy to have a lot of options to put you. He can come off screens, he can set screens and pop, you can put him on the block, pick the picker, he can set a screen and receive another screen. He can just do so many things. He's a guard and a big all in one. You know, like a I'm not telling you he is as good as Carmelo Anthony, but a guy like that at that size that can do all those things is difficult to deal with.
So what do you do with him?
Good question. Can't tell you yet.
With the non-conference schedule out of the way, are you where you thought you'd be at this point going into the conference schedule?
I thought we'd be, in terms of win-loss record, I thought maybe we'd be a little different at this point. I wasn't expecting the 3 home losses that we had.
What are you most disappointed in and what are you most pleased about so far with the non-conference?
Disappointed in us defensively early, some areas. I thought we could have been better. I thought in spite of the injuries, there were still opportunities where if we'd have defended better, we still could have been more successful.
Scott talked about on-ball defense, and he said that's been a focus and needed to improve in that area. Have they done that? Are there some examples of where it hurt you and where they've improved maybe? Oh,
early. It hurt us almost every game, early. But, you know, we played against UConn, and those guards are really good, and I thought our guys did a pretty good job against them. You know, they scored 14, 13, 16, and the next game at Marquette, you know, one scores 29, the other scores 16. You know, I thought our guys did a good job. I think coming down the stretch here, we've been playing better on ball defense.
And it's a team deal more than
no doubt. It's not just you and your guy, it's everyone else focused to where if he gets beat, we've got help. And we've improved in that area.
Has that improvement sort of been like game to game, or are you seeing it during games sort of improving as well? Or
it's been a process that's taken several weeks that we've seen slowly that we've been making progress. It didn't happen overnight.
And is it the same as the problems that were last year? Because I remember last year it was keeping guys sort of in front of you, or is it different problems this year?
I thought last year, just on the ball by itself, we didn't do as good a job. This year, I thought it was compounded by we didn't do as good a job, and we didn't help off the ball like we should.
Is that surprising to you with an older group?
Yeah, a little bit. But again, what we ask our teams to do is very demanding. And when you play 6 guys, 6.5 guys, you wear down trying to do it. Or what you end up doing is pacing yourself subconsciously. If I know I'm going to play a lot of minutes, subconsciously I just kind of pace myself without realizing it, and I'm not putting forth my best effort. Not because I'm lazy, I'm playing a lot of minutes, I'm worn down, and I think that had something to do with it early. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think we've been getting better. We have more guys to rotate, and all of a sudden our defense is getting a little better. So time takes care of that too, but in reference to having more veteran guys, you would think it'd be better earlier, but because of injuries, I don't think we've been able to sustain it as much. And I just think in the back of our mind, we're thinking, man, I'm going to be tired, I'm going to be worn down. Well, hey, they're tough. You're supposed to go at it. Well, second half, we have nothing left then. Nothing. So that's what I think has kind of happened a little bit.
In the past, you didn't really put too much stock in the points allowed because you guys played at a higher tempo, there's more possessions, and you scored more points. It doesn't seem like you're playing like that now, so do you put a lot of stock in allowing 67 points per game?
I look at, well, if you look at that two ways. Look at how many years we've allowed 67 points a game. That's never happened. So we have allowed less points. We're scoring less points by a couple of points, but we're allowing less points. I always look at the field goal percentage. Last year, I think we finished at 4.22. I think we're at 4.23 right now. We need to be better. I think we can get that lower. Right now, early on, teams hurt us from the three-point line. Not as much lately. And situation Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, they made 8 threes, but those were kind of down the stretch when the game was a little out of sorts. But we need to get the three-point field goal percentage down.
Coach, can you talk about, as you start in Pac-12 play here, the conference, and it seems like there's Arizona, obviously ranked, but then there's so many teams that are right there. I mean, parity's always been there, but maybe even more so this year, especially right at this point.
I think last year there were a few teams that, due to a lot of injuries, like a USC or defections like Utah, because of those reasons, it made it very tough on them, and they didn't win as many games. I don't think that's the case this year. Whoever the bottom teams end up being, they're going to be a lot better, which makes the league better.
Going back to what you said about the non-conference play, where you said you might not be where you thought you would be, potentially at least win-loss record-wise, does that make it any harder going into Pac-12 play in terms of momentum?
I don't know. I think we're a better team right now than we were. You know, it's not a video game where we can start over and push a button, you know, but I just think we're much better than we were early in a lot of those games. Our record doesn't reflect that, but we see the improvements that we're making.
Do you think this team has sort of the same thing as like years past to be able to sort of overcome that tough non-conference start and have a fantastic finish like it did last season?
I think the potential is there.
Because
You mentioned some of the veterans. The veterans on this team weren't the guys that were carrying us when we came back from some of those deficits, but they were there. And again, we have the rest of our team back now. I just think that makes a big difference. And somehow in sports, I said this during our football season early, somehow we feel like if we don't have our players, it shouldn't matter. We should still be just as good. But that's not true. It's just not true. Should we have played better without our guys? Yes. In our guys' absence, there are times we should have played better basketball, obviously. But today, in January, I feel we have the ability and the potential to be a much better team down the road because I think we have a better understanding of what we're trying to do offensively and defensively. Todd, also with the experience and the guys back on the defensive end, yeah, it's a little disappointing we weren't as far along, but on the offensive end, everybody's learning something new this year too. So all those things are improving.
In games like Saturday, Lorenzo, is there a tangible factor or advantage to guys like Abdul and CJ and even Scott who played in Pullman and played in crazy situations like that on the road? Or does that, once the game starts, doesn't matter?
I think it helps, and Aziz as well. I think veteran teams have a better chance to win on the road, in my opinion. I think young teams, unless they're just far superior in talent to the other teams, I think they struggle a little more on the road.
Is there somebody that's progressed more this year than last year? Like you mentioned Aziz a few seconds ago. Do you feel he's one of the players that's kicked it up this year?
I think Desmond has improved a lot. To average, close to 9 rebounds a game. I think there is an improvement there. We haven't totally seen it yet, but again, I think Sean Kemp has improved a lot too.
Do you think you guys maybe have to play differently on the road? And by that, I'm just thinking of last season, it was during that Colorado-Utah sort of switch there. And
Yeah.
It seemed that game at Utah was kind of like a definitive shift during the season that you guys
Right.
said, you know, we can't do the same thing that we're doing
Right.
at home.
Yeah, you have to guard, first of all, when you go on the road. You must guard. But secondly, you have to play with poise and you have to have great shot selection. You got to take care of the ball. You have to do those things. At times, the last year on the road, our shot selection wasn't very good. And that, you're committing basketball suicide that game when that happens, if you have very poor shot selection.
And then have you seen those things early on in the 2 road games or the 3 road games?
I thought there was a 5-minute stretch in the first half of UConn, in the UConn game. About the 13-minute mark, we were up 16-10. And we went about 13 possessions where we lost our minds. We took bad shots. We didn't execute where we were executing very well up until that point. But one thing led to another and we began to unravel. And as I thought about it, that might have been the road. We were on the road against Seattle U, but we had a lot of our fans here. We were on the road in Connecticut before, but those were neutral sites, even though the crowds were more pro Ohio State and Seton Hall. This is more of a road game where, you know, everyone was against us. And I thought for about a 5-minute stretch, we saw it. Other than that, we were fine. And we were fine in the other games on the road. We came out against Ohio State and Seton Hall and played good basketball in the first half. Seattle U, good basketball in the first half. So I think we've been decent on the road.
So even if you have open shots in sort of like these sort of the next sort of games where they're road games, open shots, wide open, let's say they're 3-point, do you want those shots to be taken, or say, let's work it together?
By the right guys. The right guys, the guys that can make them, need to take them. Yeah, definitely need to take them. You don't pass up an open shot when you're a really good shooter.
Where's Pullman ranked in all the venues you've coached in as far as challenges and how tough it is?
Well, number one in the history of basketball is Southern Mississippi. There's no other place that's more difficult, in my opinion. Number 2 is Wyoming. That would be number 2.
Why?
Southern Miss, you didn't know if you were going to be able to get back. You just didn't know. Where are we? Wyoming, we're a little psyched out by the altitude, I thought. The locker room is brown, green. You go for the scouting report, and guys are listening. By the time you got on the floor, you're like this. The room is dark, puts you to sleep. And we got down 17-4 there. Pullman actually is a tough place to play, but when we get there, I mean, they're always festive. The students are waiting for us, cussing at us, and all that stuff. So it's not like it's definitely not a blah place when we go and play in the game.
Festive.
They make it festive. They make it quite festive.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about just attitude, swagger, confidence? And it just always seems like you had a guy that, you know, put me on your back, I'll take you there. And maybe that's missing a little bit this year.
Let's see. Conference time. Let's see. See what happens. Everybody's back. Let's see what happens.
And then what you did describe Modem as a versatile player. Is Washington State a versatile team, or is it if you stop Modem, then you pretty much have a good chance of winning?
Oh, it helps your cause. It certainly helps you, helps your chances, but they have other guys that are capable as well. I mean, Devontae Lacey, he's burned us before. He burned us here when he was a freshman. He's certainly capable. Woodridge has played collegiately. Michael Ladd has been playing college basketball. They have some guys that are definitely capable of going out there and playing, and they're playing as good a defense as they've played in a while, I think. I thought their game against Gonzaga they were pretty impressive.
Do you learn more about them from their close losses or their wins?
I think you can learn from both. You really do. When teams get up 20, 25, how do they handle that? How do they handle it when they're down 20? I think you look at all of it and you come up with a profile of kind of what their tendencies are.
They really slow it down. Do you think your group this year is kind of better prepared for that style than in years past, or any difference?
Well, let's hope so. Yeah, I certainly hope so.
And in these games when you face your own, you know, Hal Ken Bone, is it just sort of old hat now, yeah, or is it still a little special, little kind of angst there?
I don't know if I'd say angst. I'd say, I mean, his daughters and his wife is just sitting right there. You know, hi, Coach. Hey, how you doing, Chelsea? How you doing, Kendra? You know, Connie. But it's a battle, and I don't see it as, oh, we're gonna play against Coach Bone's team. We're playing Washington State. Coach Bone is the coach, and Curtis Allen is an assistant that we know. We know their staff and all that, but they're coming to battle us. We're coming to battle them. So I don't see it as a mark the calendar game. As get to play against my frat buddy. You know, I don't see it that way, and I don't think Coach does either.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.